I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the A2D Radio Studios. I am Mike Mataraki from Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, heard every Wednesday night here on A2D, and this is the premiere episode on A2D of Lazy Booking.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Lazy Booking is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. They will be your certified public accountant. Find them on the web at gibsonmayer.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the participants in tonight's contest. First, the man in charge of keeping this show of shows on the rails, the immortal Ryan Brodo.
Hello.
And the participants in tonight's bout, scheduled for one fall with a 90-minute or so time limit. First, the challenger, coming to you live from the Hockey Happy Hour. He is the hardest working man in internet radio, although our illustrious owner may beg to differ. Ladies and gentlemen, Metal Matt Sudi. And our champion, the founder of the original Lazy Booking podcast, who has so graciously brought his masterpiece of radio to the airways of A2D Radio. He is the greatest heel of all time and the reigning, defending, undisputed king of the Lazy Booking podcast. I give you Michael Chromiak.
Hashtag Heel Chrome, baby. Let's get it going. And also shout out to Billy Thrasher, other founder of the original Lazy Booking podcast. Huge supporter of what we're doing now at rebranding as Lazy Booking on A2D. So, Billy, you're the man. Thank you very much.
And I am officially retiring my ring announcer voice for the evening. I was going to try to go Gary Michael Capetta on you guys.
Oh, God, that would have been fantastic.
This contest scheduled for one fall.
Have to have the television title for that one. Jeez.
One fall with TV time remaining.
No over-the-top rope, though, guys.
No, automatic disqualification.
All right, so give us the rundown, boss.
Hey, guys, welcome. We're really excited. Again, rebranding now, Lazy Booking on A2D for all you guys who previously followed. Thank you for so loyally coming back and checking in with us. This is going to be a fun show. It's a weekly show. We're going to be, it's interactive. Hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on Facebook. We have the poll question out there brought to us by Scanzano Sports. Our poll question, we're going to have one every week. So this week's poll question to kick off the inaugural episode on A2D is, will Daniel Bryan return to in-ring action in WWE at or before WrestleMania in New Orleans? Your three opportunities here are yes, 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 no, 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 or maybe in the Indies. So respond to the question, guys. Anything you want to talk about. We're going to go over Clash of Champions, Raw, SmackDown, some big things that happened this week. We wanted to talk Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hit the highlights of that. We're not going to go through the whole card that's like 6 hours long. But we're going to go through and anything that you guys contribute and ask about. So ask questions, throw out your opinions, and let's get at it.
And actually, I think what we'll do is Ryan will take the Facebook comments. I'll take the YouTube comments. And we'll free you guys up to just go at it here with your commentary and feedback.
That sounds good. So basically, we're going over the highlights of Wrestle Kingdom and the lack thereof highlights for SmackDown and Raw, right?
Let's just get it out of the way. Let's knock out Clash of Champions, guys. Let's go score 1 to 10. What's your opinion on it? What do you rate the pay-per-view, and why is your rating? Let's let the referee jump in here, Ryan. Let's see what you got first, brother.
All right. Well, I mean, given that there weren't
Wait. As a referee, don't you have to give your rating as a 1, 2, 3,
4.
Make the count, ref.
Exactly.
I've got 5.
Yeah. Well, I can't label it as the perfect 10. I cannot do that. But what I am going to do,
God.
there were some, I mean, obviously, I would say, and, I'll ask you guys this as well. I think the tag match was probably the match of the night.
Oh, absolutely. Not even
Yeah.
close.
So, I mean, because, the Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan match, which is funny, I labeled it as that because it seemed like that was more important than Nakamura, and Orton and Sami Zayn and Owens.
Which, by the way, Owens and Zayn's careers on the line, so let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mahal against AJ Styles, we were all pulling for AJ Styles. Thank God. In my opinion, thank God they kept the belt on him. So they didn't make any outlandish mistakes as far as booking. I mean, the lumberjack match was You know what I mean? So
It was what a lumberjack match always is.
That's very
Yeah.
true. I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay. 6.5. All right. That's not a bad rating there. It's not awful. What do you got, Matt?
I'm going to go with a 4, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
okay. That's a hard hit.
The reason why is because it just feels like they had potential in some of the matches, and they did not formulate it properly. Like, something went wrong there. Like, the U.S. title felt kind of like, which it should have been better because you have 3 guys in the mid-card that should be able to get the job done. At least their repertoire would tell you so. Bobby Roode, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, and all 3 of them, they have their reputations and they're starting the night off. When your night kind of starts off kind of sets you up for kind of pay-per-view, really. Yeah. At least in my opinion. You got to get the crowd into it properly, and I don't think they really did that. At least for me.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way.
So what was you said a 4, right?
I say a 4. I mean, the best match was the tag match, but again, it's because of the McMahon-Bryan storyline. I mean, the match between Jinder Mahal and Styles wasn't bad. I mean, because Styles was able to really do what he does best.
He can make anybody look. He
You know,
can make a broom look good. So.
Yeah, so that pretty much was the second best match of the night, at least in my opinion. The women's title match, they probably could have picked a better setup, I think, than a lumberjack match. Just, my opinion, they probably should have.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, see, to me, though, that lumberjack match was more of setting up what we'll get into later, kind of what happened next night on Raw. So I kind of understand it. I would give it a 6, and I give it a 6. I didn't think it was an awful pay-per-view. I don't understand giving Dolph Ziggler the U.S. title. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, Dolph Ziggler, the best thing that could happen with Ziggler is if he goes away for 6 months.
I thought he was going out permanently. I mean, haven't we been hearing rumors about that?
Well, it was and on SmackDown we'll touch on that too. But it was weird that he was thrown in last minute. Mm-hmm. And to me, I mean, we talked about this off air. To me, Dolph Ziggler is like the black hole of anybody coming in and debuting against him. Baron Corbin, no momentum coming out of that. Bobby Roode, no momentum. Nakamura destroyed. Nakamura had as much momentum as you could possibly have. Roode as well. Absolutely nothing coming out of that for those guys. Neither of them came out stronger than when they went in. And I don't even think they came out even close to the same level as when they went into that.
Here's the problem with that. You have all these guys who are really talented, and pretty much here's the problem with that. They're main eventers in a mid-card situation where it's kind of like they really shouldn't be in these mid-card matches.
Wait a goddamn minute.
What do you mean?
Did you just call Baron Corbin a main eventer?
No. I meant.
All right.
I didn't mean Baron Corbin.
I thought you meant Baron Corbin.
I think he's talking about like Nakamura.
Okay.
And
Nakamura.
Roode.
All right.
Rude. No.
I thought you were talking about the match itself.
No. Don't jump to conclusions there, Mikey. Relax.
I'm gonna have to heal on him.
It's okay. Relax,
brother.
relax.
This ain't
It's all right.
Southpaw, okay? This ain't Southpaw
we're all right,
Regional
we're all right.
Wrestling.
We're all right. No. Don't worry. We're not going into that territory. No. That's like WC.
I need my scotch.
No. That's like
Susan, call me.
That's like Monday morning quarterback Vince Russo booking right over there. We ain't getting into that territory. No. I'm talking about like, Bobby Roode is a main eventer. Obviously, Nakamura is a main eventer, and they're toiling away in the mid-card. They've got, why are they with Dolph Ziggler? They really shouldn't be. If anything, they should be wrestling AJ Styles for the WWE title. And I know, immediately right out of NXT, WWE is going to scratch their head at that. But, it's just like, no, because they're talented enough to be there. They should be there already. Stop wasting their time and just give them what they should be doing.
But, what do these guys, at this point, where do they go from here? Because now you've kind of ended a Baron Corbin, Bobby Roode feud that was very short-lived. There's no conclusion to that, and they have nothing to fight over at this point.
But that's the thing is, did you? Because here's where I'm going with
this.
Or
are we going back to Dolph Ziggler with them?
No. I see, and it's funny because we have a segment coming up later, and I don't want to give away my response on that.
Yes, okay.
But I would have given it a solid 6. Maybe even go as high as a 7, because the thing that you have to remember is they're coming off of Survivor Series in November. They go Royal Rumble in January. So SmackDown is the brand that gets stuck with having to do the single brand pay-per-view in between. So you have to figure that immediately there's no heat on the pay-per-view at all. It's a situation where everybody just basically goes from Survivor Series to Royal Rumble and whatever happens in between.
It's wrapping up loose ends on a lot of things as well.
So in terms of the fact that they come in with basically no build-up and no heat at all, I feel like the 3 guys in the opener, we've talked about the talent level for all of them, and obviously we think Roode is a potential main eventer. Dolph Ziggler is the guy that they typically have doing the job for all of the new guys to get established. And Baron Corbin, I think he's got a world of potential, but he's not a main event guy yet.
No.
He's getting better. I mean, he's getting a lot better. But I think it was a really hot opener with a surprise finish that for good or bad got the crowd into the show. Now, the show itself, there's nothing spectacular there. I thought, and I said this on social media after the show was over, I'm finally sold on Jinder Mahal. I don't necessarily like his gimmick, but I think anybody you put him in there with, he's going to be fine. He's not a 7-star Kenny Omega type, but he's going to deliver a quality match every time.
There's a lot of heat on Jinder, and listen, we talked about this previously. It's not like he held the company for ransom and said, "Hey, put me in this spot."
Right.
We all understand why he's there. They were having this big push in India. It was a marketing thing. But for a guy who kind of knew, I'm sure he knew going in there was going to be a lot of heat on him. What do you want as a heel? You want to draw heat? You want to continue to antagonize a crowd? Mm-hmm. You want them to hate you. And guess what? I think his matches are actually been pretty damn decent.
Yeah.
Is he a high flyer? Is he doing any of those real crazy, oh my God moments? No. You know what he's doing? He has the Singh brothers. You know what Seth Rollins did as a champion? He had Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury. It's the same thing. No
talk about some lazy booking.
Yeah, no heel wins with fair tactics. And I think, considering the circumstances, I feel like he's risen to the occasion. And whether you agree with it or not, they built another talent.
Well, the one thing that I didn't really like about the Jinder Mahal thing was that they went and played the racial angle. And they did it again. Like, they've done it before.
They do that with everybody.
But that's the thing. That's just it's so boring to me. I've seen it so many times. It's so played out for me.
And you're right. But dig a layer deeper into this, though. If he doesn't play the race card on Nakamura, everyone else is playing it on him.
That's a good point.
They built his character on a racial stereotype and then allowed the character to turn around and get more heat by laying a racial stereotype on a babyface. So, not exactly dumb booking there. Questionable? Sure, but not dumb.
I don't have a problem with the ethics because, in my opinion, you push the envelope, you make a better rating for yourself. But at the end, to me, it was just played out.
It's lazy in a sense that it's been done. They tried to manipulate it and do it in a different way, but it's still lazy.
Chrome, you and I talked about this before the show, and I said one of the things that I think really hurt Jinder Mahal, especially as champion, was who he had to go up against. Not like he had to go up against nobodies. It's actually the exact opposite. He started out, and he had to go up against Randy Orton. Obviously, A lot of people think he's boring. A lot of people are still fans of his. So either way, and they had to put him in a wooden cage match or a bamboo cage
I
match.
was there fourth row, and I couldn't see any of it.
I was there for that, too.
Couldn't see any of it.
And that ended with the freaking great Khali coming back for 5 seconds. That's number one. Then he had to go up against Shinsuke Nakamura, someone who we thought, okay, he's the guy now. He's the guy. Oh, well, he defeated Nakamura, and Nakamura got pushed aside. Right. Then he had to go up against AJ Styles, a fan favorite. So I think if you just talk about those three things, that really hurt him, obviously. And I know they were building his entire thing around the India tour behind the scenes. That's one of the main things. It just seems like at the end of the day, they took the belt off of him right before the India tour, which was only like 1 day, and they had him face Triple H.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lazy booking decision right there.
Yes.
At the very last minute, after you built up him calling out Brock Lesnar to face him at Survivor Series, you pull the plug the week before Survivor Series. You are days away, and you put the belt on AJ Styles with no traction.
That's a business decision.
But yeah, see,
boys.
I don't look at that as
that's
lazy.
a business decision.
That was something that at that time at 1 year in Big Four pay-per-views, there was no attention, nothing. There was no interest whatsoever, and they said, all right, this is where we got to start.
That doesn't change the fact that it is a lazy booking decision.
Well,
because
it was lazy in the beginning to even put him in that
It's an example. It's an example of people not wanting to see Jinder Mahal get destroyed by Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
That's literally the example.
And that's the only way that you could have done that. But I also give it a 6 on the pay-per-view. To me, the pay-per-view wasn't awful. I don't really feel like I thought that the Fatal 4-Way tag match was the match.
That
of the
was a
night.
good match.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Chad Gable made a name for himself in that match. And I real quick, I'm going to jump this out.
Yeah.
I felt like the booking in that. My issue was I don't get. To me, it's lazy booking to have now Dolph wins the title. Okay, nobody cares. I love the Usos now, and it took me a while to get into the change in gimmick because I felt like they took too long to change their gimmick. But I love what they're doing now. And that match was fantastic. The reason I give it a 6, which is a decent rating. I didn't think anything was overly spectacular, but I thought they did enough to advance the major storylines. Like even with the Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon issue during the tag match, I thought it looked like a clusterfuck, to be honest. It was too crazy and confusing, and they were just kind of following everybody around. It was awkward, but in the end, it advanced the storyline and built to what could potentially be coming.
So I actually wanted to ask you guys, and I saved this for the show, but did any of you guys notice during the match, and it happened very early, Shane lost his earpiece, and there was a wire that was basically hanging from his backside, and the transmitter, what was I guess kind of on the back of his waistband or whatever.
Yeah, they're all the refs have. Yeah.
And so basically, he lost the earpiece. He was trying to put the earpiece back in. He couldn't get it done. And at one point, he circled around to Daniel Bryan's side of the ring, and I think it looked like he just tossed it on the floor.
He might have.
And then when they took the whole thing out to the floor, and there was supposedly the poke in the eye, that Daniel Bryan got poked in the eye.
Yeah.
I noticed when they came back in the ring, him fidgeting around quite a bit, and I looked a little closer, and he suddenly had the earpiece in. So I'm guessing what happened was one of the commentators told them when they went to the floor, one of you referees has to have
an earpiece.
An earpiece.
I have a ton of Facebook comments if you want me to run through those for you guys.
Yes, the last thing I'm going to point, and then
Yeah.
definitely get into
Yeah,
Facebook and YouTube. To me, the way that appeared, and I did do live tweeting, which I'm going to try to do during the pay-per-views. If you go on at LazyBooking A2D, I'm going to try to live tweet during pay-per-views. So I did do that. I had interaction, so thank you guys who interacted. My view of that was like watching two guys following strippers around who were doing their performance, kind of waving their money and just waiting for the moment when they get off to fight to see who's going to get the lap dance from which one. Like, that's the way I viewed it. And it just appeared that it was that messy.
That might be the best thing I've ever heard.
It was like the dudes who come for the buffet, come and hang out. Once they do their performance, now they're chasing them around on the stage waiting for them to get done to be the first ones there. It was crazy to me.
So Charles Moranin, obviously a
Chucks.
birds of a feather
Hey,
every
Chucks.
Tuesday. He says, Chrome, you know why I'm here. Alexa, Bliss.
Yes.
In all seriousness, have a great show, fellas. Pumped for you guys. Thank you, Charles.
Hey, we
Appreciate it.
all love Alexa Bliss, Charles. Absolutely.
Tom has been asking numerous times. He wants to know when Hulk Hogan is coming back.
I will answer that seriously. My bold prediction going into next year is Hogan will be back by the end of the year. I think there's been enough time that's passed now, and I believe that they're incorporating his name more and more when they talk about things. I believe Hogan at some point will be back with WWE in some capacity.
You did notice they put him in a highlight package too, right?
They've been doing more and more of that.
Yeah, that's actually something that I was like, oh, okay. All right. So they are bringing him back finally after all this time.
Well, listen, I mean, I don't condone anything that he said, but we also glorified a killer in Jimmy Snuka when he died. So you know what? Like, the guy's done his time.
I would not be surprised to see him at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
No, not at all.
Back in New Orleans, calling it the wrong arena, the Silver Dome.
Silverdome. No, it's a
brother.
Superdome. But
Brian Daly, catch him later on the Hockey Happy Hour. He says,
Brian
this is
Daly.
entertaining already.
Yes,
Love it.
my man, Brian Daly. Love it. Thank you, brother.
Tom said that, he basically agreed with Charles saying that they're here for the same reason. Hashtag Alexa Bliss. Let's go, Alexa Bliss. A lot of Alexa Bliss fans in here.
I'll work my contacts and see if we can get Alexa Bliss on the show.
Yeah.
That we might break the internet if we get
I'd
Alexa
be
Bliss on
perfectly
here.
fine with a little biscuit butt sitting on my lap.
People were calling for an Alexa Bliss poster on the wall.
Yes, Tom.
Sense.
Listen, I tried. This place was there was not enough wrestling, so I had to decorate a little bit, Tom. So if we could find a spot, there will be an Alexa Bliss.
The funny part
poster
is though,
on the wall.
if we got a poster of Margot Robbie from Suicide Squad and Alexa Bliss, it's like, hey, can we tell the difference?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's play a game. How can which one's different?
Actually, what would be really cool is, how when you go to like a house show and they only sell half of the house, so they put up like the big curtains to try to black out like the upper level or like the end of the arena or whatever and make it look smaller. What we need to do is just get like a curtain that we can hang over all of the jerseys during this show with all of like the wrestling stuff on it, and then literally just take it down when the show's over, and boom, all the jerseys are back.
Absolutely.
Right back to the A2D
We'll set it up like they
studios.
do in the backstage with Raw, where they have their little interview areas.
Yes.
Edward Wynn Jr. says he actually did not. He hated the Fatal 4-Way. That's what he says.
Oh, Ed. Ed's my boy. But, Ed, you're crazy. And, by the way, I also said that Ed said that Bobby Roode's 40 and he's not a main guy. Ed, Bobby Roode is a main event guy. Let me tell you something, Ed. I love you, brother. Go back and watch what he did. When TNA was actually somewhat relevant, you talk about the late 2000s, early 2010s, Bobby Roode, the it factor, that dude was 10 years overdue to come to WWE. Beer Money was an amazing tag team. Bobby Roode was, I do agree that at this point he's older, but dude's a main event guy. Go back and watch everything he did in NXT. Guy came in and made an immediate impact and put so many guys in situations to grow.
What? Like, wait a minute. Bobby Roode has to be a main guy. That makes no sense.
Well, he says that, and I saw it. He says that he's like a ripoff of Ric Flair. And I get what you're saying in the sense of the ropes, but here's what Bobby Roode is. Bobby Roode is not the flashiest guy. Bobby Roode is an old school 80s and 90s wrestler. The dude comes in, he works a technical match, and the way whether he was a heel, which I do agree is a better heel than he is a face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But heel or face, just the mannerisms and the way he carries himself is an old school wrestler. Like when you look at teams like the Revival who just came back this week.
Well, I was just going to ask you, though, if that's what they're positioning him to be, what are they doing with the Revival? And, oh, by the way, the Revival, I don't know if they rushed those guys back or what, and I'm the last one to talk, but both of them were looking a little soft in the midsection, if you ask me. It looked like they weren't expecting to come back until the Rumble.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they got thrown out there on Monday night, and it was like,
Get out there, guys. Get at it.
Got a little muffin top over the edge of the trunks here.
You know what, though? I love seeing them back.
You saw that shatter machine came in like a minute and a half. They're like, okay, 3 moves, we're gassed. Go to the finish.
Let's work on the cardio. But I love seeing them back. But I agree. There is an element now that WWE is. They still have their characters and their gimmicks and stuff, but they're bringing guys who are real wrestling talent, guys who are an attribution to old school wrestling back. And guess what? Those guys are getting over. People love seeing that. Watch the 80s with the Horsemen and the 90s, and when you had great great characters.
Well, really, old school style wrestling can still sell. Like,
Yes.
that's the thing. People,
NXT.
Yeah, people have this belief for whatever reason, or at least some do, that old school wrestling means, it's going to be boring and slow. Like, no, we're not talking Southern style wrestling. We're talking big time main events, Madison Square Garden, old style wrestling. You could still get that over. You can have the great big entrances and the flashiness, but the technical aspects of the ring doesn't change over time.
agree.
It never does. Only certain stars get it, though. That's the thing. A lot of stars hide behind the aerial moves and the flashy
But
moves.
that's why they say Randy Orton's lazy or Randy Orton's boring, because Randy Orton is kind of like an old school wrestler.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Orton, I don't like him because he's never really been. I've never really liked Randy Orton, even when he was younger and he could do more. He's a talented wrestler.
He's a 13-time world champion, but I
he's
never liked
He's
him.
so damn
He's a
good.
never liked him.
No, he's a talented wrestler, and I have nothing against him. It's just I never found him like exciting, like ever. Like even the first off, they botched it when they took him away from Evolution. They absolutely botched that, and that kind of kills it immediately. But also, it felt like
What year was that?
okay, it
Bro,
was
live in the
two-
now.
was
Come on,
2000.
Maddie.
It's 2000. That was 2004. Or okay, yes, but still, it still holds.
I'm not
true.
over it 13 and a half years later.
No, but still,
I'm
It's
with you.
still real to
Over-
me, man.
Still around to be.
over the years, though, it's just like it just seems like he's just not exciting to me. Like it's just you get those wrestlers that just like no matter what he does, he'll always be boring.
What killed Randy Orton, and it's not even all the Cena matches, which I don't think was a great thing for them. It was watching
Is it
him.
ever a great thing for
It was
anybody?
watching. I love Cena.
So do
don't
I,
even
but-
it was him versus Sheamus 900 times in 2 years on SmackDown every single week.
yeah.
It killed both of them.
Mike, so Linda just said, she said, the boy made me order a pizza so he could eat and watch the show.
Nice. Nice. I actually got some.
I hope
some
it wasn't Papa John's.
No, that's out.
That's lazy booking.
That is
very
lazy looking.
some YouTube comments
Yeah.
for you. David Rosca, who
David
listens to like every one of our
Rosca.
shows.
All the wrestling marks are going to come out of the closet.
yeah,
too.
love it.
Oh, I
Rosca,
didn't
my
know. He's
man.
the number one hockey happy hour fan, so you know what? Hey, what's
and the
up?
biggest LA Rams fan we know.
And Chargers.
We'll,
apparently.
we'll forgive you for that. That's okay.
He's tied with Daly for Ducks, but
Rosca says, "What's up, boys?
What's up?
Love the 6-woman tag match last Sunday at Clash of Champions. He's looking for some Trish Stratus and some Ronda Rousey.
I think Ronda,
that's
there's a good
interesting.
chip.
Ronda,
I think
yeah,
Ronda,
yeah.
you may get her. I'm going to, because I think she's been working even previous to the rumored signing. Don't be surprised if she appears at Royal Rumble.
oh, she will.
Yeah.
Don't be
Do you
surprised.
think there's any chance she would win that thing?
You know what? I wouldn't say no.
I'll give you a little, improv booking here. What if the final two is Asuka and Ronda?
I mean, I think Asuka should win,
Absolutely.
but I wouldn't be surprised if they put Ronda over.
If they do, it might actually be a good idea that you do this. You take and for all the Alexa Bliss fans out there, I know they're going to get pissed at me for this.
Alexa!
But you take the belt off of Alexa and you put it on Asuka. And you get Asuka a big pop. Maybe you even do it this way so she doesn't lose any traction. You have her win the belt off of Alexa at Royal Rumble, have her go to Mania and face Rousey, who won the Women's Royal Rumble.
I don't want Ronda to be the person that beats Asuka. I think that's
I'm not
worst
saying that. I'm just
thing that could happen.
saying.
But how can you put? You can't have Ronda in a title match at Mania and not have.
What
put the
about
belt on
this? Chris Robin says she's winning and facing Charlotte and Mania.
her. I would be. You know
Okay.
what? I'd be cool with that. I think that would be good. I don't want her touching Asuka.
See,
Not now.
my thoughts on that are the only way that this Women's Royal Rumble makes any sense, even if you debut all these women and you give NXT call-ups a bunch of a shot, the only way the Women's Royal Rumble makes any sense is if your last two are Asuka and Nia Jax, and then you have the immovable object against the irresistible force.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to have Asuka go over on Nia, and then go on to WrestleMania.
And honestly, I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if Ronda appears at Rumble, but she doesn't need to. They have the backstory now with the 4 horsemen gimmick.
Right.
The 4 horsewomen in MMA, the 4 horsewomen in WWE, to where they can have it to where Asuka is chasing the title on SmackDown, and somehow during the build-up to WrestleMania, you implement Ronda, and then you set that match up. I could totally see that happening, and I'm not opposed to that.
Here's something interesting as far as behind the scenes. So James Wilder just said McMahon sold $100 million in WWE shares for the football venture. And then he says, Diddy is out, McMahon is in. No joke, I'm calling my shot.
If there's any, I got to see what this football adventure is going to be. If it's another XFL, I heard that they put a copyright or a trademark on "He Hate Me."
What?
They just put the trademark on "He Hate Me" like last week. That's what I heard. I don't want to say it. I'll be honest. I love sports and I'll watch almost anything and give it a shot. XFL at its time was something that was entertaining and different. I don't want to see Vince trying to run another leg. I just don't want to say it.
And by the
so
way,
well.
anything that Chris Robbins contributes, you got to take a little bit seriously because that's actually a gentleman who's been in the ring.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, Chris, we appreciate that, brother.
Edward Wynn says, what are you guys hearing about Ambrose? Because obviously he's injured.
So was that a legit injury?
You know,
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. It
It's
looked
funny
pretty
because
legit.
I had a couple discussions about this, and at first I thought it was legit. And then when they did the backstage segment, it ruined it.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
This is the thing I heard. I heard that it was legit, therefore they made a storyline to make it
write him
make
out.
sense. Yes.
But they threw him out. I mean, he was still flying around the ring. A lot of times when that stuff happens, they figure out a way to write him out, similar like a storyline angle. But they don't throw the guy out there and release the handcuffs and say, go at it. So I don't know. I mean, he could have something else, another injury, and they're just using that as the focus of it.
It sucks, too. It's the worst time for him to get hurt because they just reunited the Shield. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah, it's been like a half. I mean, you didn't even have Reigns on Raw. But, I mean, it's been okay. I like that they put the Shield together. And guess what? It just proves the point.
And
Roman Reigns.
And
Jesus Christ, the guy's over again. The fans are so ridiculous with Roman Reigns.
Where was he this week, though?
You know what? To be honest with you, I read that he wasn't going to be on. There was no reason that I saw supplied why he wasn't going to be on, though. So I don't know. I can't even come close to answering that.
Michael Lipinski, talking similar to what we were talking about earlier, he said Bobby Roode has the it factor. So
He's
big
the
fan.
it. That's right. He's huge. Listen, I've been telling people for 10 years that Bobby Roode should be in WWE.
Did he just Jack Miz's catch line and put it on Bobby Roode?
And Andy Ritter said Roman is sick. That's what he's been reading.
Okay, and it could be.
The viral infection crept back up on him.
Well,
huh?
it could
Here
be
we go
that, or he
again.
could just have a flu. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I don't. What did he have before again?
Wasn't it like, weren't they checking him for
I
meningitis?
thought it was-
Meningitis, he had
I thought it was
meningitis.
Yeah.
Wyatt had he reportedly had the same thing. Bray Wyatt.
Oh, a lot of them. Well, that Bo Dallas, his brother, he was out too with it. He was the catalyst, I think, because Bo was the first one that was out.
That's
sick.
why Bray Wyatt was stuck doing those stupid Sister Abigail like things on the screen for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
To where he wasn't actually there, but we got to see him in a mask or whatever the hell that was.
Let me hit you guys with a few more YouTube comments.
Yeah, let's get it YouTube, baby. Let's get it.
So Rob Povia.
What's up, Rob?
Rob.
Gotta love when Rob chimes in. He says, for the record, not that you guys are even talking about this right now, but I'm mesmerized with the hashtag Broken Universe. I feel it's Matt Hardy's. I feel this is Matt Hardy's gimmick. It's the best since Stunning Steve Austin went stone cold. And then he also chimes in and says it's 10,000% Rousey winning the Women's Royal Rumble to face Charlotte at Mania.
Okay.
I will say this one thing about Matt Hardy and that gimmick. It's great. McMahon will never let that go to its full potential.
See, I don't know because
it's not his.
But he's gotten over that. I mean, they were changing guys' name where AJ Styles would have been like CJ Fashionable or some shit like that. Like, like some ridiculous thing. Like that was what they used to do. They used to say, hey, they'll never put a WCW guy over. But now you look, and AJ Styles has been 2 years in a row now is ending the year as champion.
Sting's in the Hall of Fame.
Sting is in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Roode got a huge push in NXT. I mean, in the end, ultimately, Vince gets the kibosh on that.
They tried to do Goldberg properly this time instead of,
Oh, I get it. There's exceptions. This is just one that's so outlandish, and you see, The Undertaker's the exception to this, honestly, to where there's a gimmick so outlandish that, Vince can't make it work. Undertaker's the exception. It's just something down to where They changed it from broken to woken. It's still not technically his. I understand, the exceptions you made, that's fact. Just something just doesn't sit well with me thinking there's no that gimmick could honestly be a main event talent, in my opinion.
You know what's gonna change that is when Matt Hardy sells 1 million shirts in the first year. And then goes back to Vince and says,
"Listen,
I told you this gimmick would work."
Listen, we had, and I called him I tweeted him 900 times and told him #DadBod Matt Hardy for years. WWE wouldn't give him a sniff, and then he came in, and that was his total creation. And look at how huge that was. That got their attention, and WWE was clamoring to
from
bring
a
them in.
brainstorming session at the Waffle House.
Yeah,
and they just brought that in, and I don't know that he's going to give him the total creative on it.
And the funny part is, though, too, is that they wound up owning TNA with that gimmick. They could have done anything in TNA, and it would have gotten over. And they did. They did the most ridiculous things in the whole world. It was the best shows that TNA had that entire year.
I tell you what, and I agree. TNA, I tuned in to watch it, and a lot of times I said, I don't even know what the hell I just watched, but I want to watch it again. And it was, I mean, if you remember some of the ones they had where they buried, I forget the 2 tag team guys, but with Shane Helms, where he came in and they were just the little comments and digs that they did, and the brother Nero and all. It was so different and creative, and I don't know that but I mean, you see them do this stuff with the Wyatts. I think if they give him some creative input, they can. I like how they've done it so far.
There's actually a lot of comments on Facebook about that. And listen, I hope I'm dead wrong. I really do. So Andy Ritter says, rumor mill again is that Hardy has creative freedom from Vince because he realizes that the broken Matt Hardy character is the most profitable thing in wrestling world today.
That's a little bit of a stretch.
I mean, I don't know if the reasoning is quite at that level. I don't know if it's the most profitable thing in the world today. I still say, love him or hate him, John Cena, you go to a house show and there's 9,000 John Cena things bought at house shows.
I would even take it a step further, the joke that I cracked before we went on the air. Walk into Hot Topic. That is the most profitable thing in wrestling today.
I mean, the Bullet Club's,
Chris... Go ahead, Matty.
It's the brand new NWO of this generation.
They
literally took.
It is.
No, they did. They're the outlaw group of wrestling that everybody wants to be a part of because it's cool to be a bad guy. That's basically what they are.
Right.
Chris Robbins says Meek Mahan has given
Meek Mahan.
Yeah, Meek Mahan has given Hardy full control.
There we go.
James Wilder says more people should have full control. I like the old days of the Wild Wild West.
And he's not wrong at all.
See here. All right. Let's talk about this for a second. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
Certain guys deserve full control. Guys like Steve Austin, The Rock, those guys proved that they had the charisma, they had the creativity that they could do that. Go back, and this is what I hate. People say, I miss the Attitude Era. And the people that say it, half of them didn't even grow up enough to really be of age to really pay attention and remember it.
Or understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
What you saw was amazing characters come out of it, like an evolution of Undertaker that you had never seen. You saw The Rock. You saw Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mankind.
You saw Mankind. You saw Bret Hart and Shawn in the early days of that kind of finally come to a head in the early days of
John
the
Cena the rapper.
Yeah, and towards the tail end, you saw
the tail end. Kurt Angle.
Word Life. Yeah, I mean, you saw a lot of these guys, right?
Can I give you my mark out moment for a second here?
Yes.
Word Life to this day may still very well be my favorite wrestling entrance theme song ever.
It's Word Life. This is basic thugonomics.
Basic
Yeah, his
thugonomics.
entrance music was
This
phenomenal.
is basic. No, but go back. If you really sat back, go WWE Network. You can do it.
Yeah.
Watch week by week. The mid card and undercard was awful.
Oh, yeah.
The storylines were awful. People liked it because it was shocking, and at that time it fit. But go back and watch it now. If they tried to implement that kind of stuff now, it would be terrible. The wrestling was not good.
I agree.
And they would also be thrown off the air for some of the more lewd things that they were doing at that time as well.
Absolutely. But even if you take that out of the equation, the wrestling was terrible. It was about throwing something, everything against the wall to bring ratings and shock.
It was.
Brian Pillman with a gun with Steve Austin.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was that.
but it was just bad. You look now, and you could say this and that about storylines and gimmicks, but you see much better wrestling matches
Well-
and guys who work and are more creative in the ring.
Think about this, and this is something that I realized as I was going through the network and watching all the old shows and stuff like that. Notice this. What is the one main event during the Attitude Era that they did 90% of the time for like 4 straight years, with the exception of 2000 because he wasn't around and the other one wasn't around? They did it hundreds of times, and they got away with it. Guess what that match was? Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. How many times did they main event a pay-per-view? Even in a tag match, how many times?
And every time it was different.
it was huge. But that's shocking.
Matty,
when you think about
I
that.
hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but I don't think you could point it just at those two. I think you have to look at, and I'll give you 6. You're going Austin, Rock, some iteration of Foley, Undertaker, Triple H, and to a certain extent Shawn Michaels. Put them in a hopper, spin it around and spit it out, and whatever 2 come out are the guys that they're using, because to Chrome's point, the lack of talent up and down the card. And I guess that's kind of where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the main event was amazing, and you had guys who could go multiple times against each other and come up with something creative and different every time. But everything else that was a part of that was awful. And listen, I appreciated watching it at the time. I'm happy that I actually was able to experience it as it live went on. I didn't have to go back. But now I look back and people, I miss the. I don't. You wouldn't have guys like Cesaro and guys who are great in-ring workers. You wouldn't have AJ Styles.
No.
AJ Styles is a religious guy. I could tell you right now, AJ Styles wouldn't be working WWE if the Attitude Era was around. There's a lot of these guys now that are like that, to where their core beliefs, they wouldn't be working for WWE.
I'm gonna look to the referee here on this one, and Raw commercial, comeback, SmackDown, Wrestle Kingdom.
Sounds good to me.
Let's
Okay,
go.
All right.
real quick before we break, though, the poll question again. Will Daniel Bryan return to in-ring action in WWE at or before WrestleMania in New Orleans? Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no.
No, no, no.
Maybe in the Indies. I will give you my response later on. But let's get on to Raw real quick. We'll do our Raw recap, take a quick break, come back, finish this thing out.
All right.
Yeah, so let's jump back. I mean, Raw, we're just going to touch highlights, guys. We're not going to go into every little detail. Obviously, you saw the return of Lesnar, and what we got out of this, we now know what our main event is for Royal Rumble.
What we got out of this was Paul Heyman, who may very well be the best thing on Monday night.
Paul Heyman, I mean, he's been the best thing for years. I mean, it's him and Bobby Heenan are 1 and 1A. We'll just put that out there now. We all know that. But you know, obviously, he could put anything over, by the way.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Paul Heyman, yeah.
But Brock Lesnar is going to face both Braun Strowman and he's going to face Kane. What I want to say about this, because there's people bitching about Kane. So what I understand and what I've read is this is Kane's last run. He's going to be doing a lot of the political stuff. So what they're utilizing him, A, in respect to him, to give him a last glimmer into a meaningful title program, and B, they're utilizing him to help build up Braun Strowman, and then potentially there could be another use for him before he leaves. I think he's done after Mania. So I have no problem with Kane being in this program. I've had no problem with it from the beginning. I thought it was kind of weird at first, but then when I had been seeing a lot of stuff that Meltzer and other guys were putting out there, I'm okay with it. And you know what? The guy's had such a great career, and he came from shit. He worked, that was a fake Diesel, Isaac Yankem.
Oh, God.
I mean, you saw all kinds of gimmicks from this guy.
Actually, real quick, Dave Keene, who is a guy that I know back from my days playing college baseball, who spent a bunch of time in the ring up and down the indies on the East Coast, chimes in, says he's
What's up, Dave?
loving the show.
Nice.
So,
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, man.
Gotta love it when guys who have been in the ring tell us they love the show.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate that, man.
So I'm sorry. Continue, please.
No, and I just think that, I mean, he's done so much for the business, put guys over. And if you really look at it, how many real meaningful title runs has he had? I mean, he had a couple with the world title, but in his prime, in the Attitude Era, he had the title for, what, 1 day?
Not even 24 hours, because he held it. He literally won it at King of the Ring, lost it the very next night
And
to Stone
how
Cold.
many he's a guy that came out of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
How many meaningful programs did he have? How many great rivalries over the years did he have, both against and with The Undertaker? He built a lot of the Undertaker's legacy with him.
He did.
So I mean, I'm not going to bitch about it. It's Royal Rumble. It's not WrestleMania. If it's a WrestleMania main event, okay. But we all know that as much as we love Rumble, Rumble is the tee up. You're in the box. They're teeing up the ball to hit the driver to get you to WrestleMania.
Can we just look at it also with a degree of logic for a minute, though? And I'll look to you on this one because you and I have had this discussion.
Somebody's got to take the pin.
However many times over the course of the years. Exactly. You have to have someone. Someone's got to take a pinfall.
Well, we thought that's what Duff was going to do on Sunday.
Andy Ritter asks, he says, does Braun win the belt by pinning Kane? It keeps Brock looking strong and still being able to take the title from him. No, that's one way to look at it.
I think Brock carries the title to Mania and Braun wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, so that's where I was going with you, Matty, is how do you see this thing finishing?
You know, the thing is, though, is that as much as I could understand Lesnar carrying the belt into Mania, the thing is they've been really hyping up Strowman. The thing is, it depends on who wins the Rumble. If it's a Raw star, then you got a big problem because then you're like, well, what are you supposed to do? You've boosted up Strowman all this time. Are you supposed to not give him the title and throw it on the guy who won the Rumble? Well, if it's a SmackDown guy, it's a much easier decision.
Yeah.
You clearly throw the belt onto Strowman at Mania. So now here's, I will say this. If Strowman wins, a SmackDown guy's winning the Rumble. If Strowman loses, then a Raw guy cannot win the Rumble.
I'm going to disagree, but I'm going to save that for SmackDown because my response is going to fit in why I disagree with what you're saying.
Sure, go right ahead.
So, can I jump on that real quick?
You sure can.
If I start going where you're going, just literally give me a stop, and I will. Okay. What happens?
A SmackDown guy's going to win the Rumble.
I'm going to disagree with you here.
Okay, go ahead.
But what happens if, let's say, Strowman dominates the match, but somehow Lesnar winds up stealing the pin from him and retaining, and Lesnar gets pissed and enters the Rumble at number 30?
No.
Could happen.
No.
Could happen.
I'm just going to throw it out there now, and I'll talk about it later on and more in depth. Shinsuke Nakamura is winning the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. This is the 1 year where the obvious guy who to set up the most perfect obvious match is going to win the Royal Rumble.
But you don't think they could go Nakamura and AJ without quote unquote wasting
not as face and
the
face.
Rumble on him?
One of them's got to turn heel for that to happen. So if they're going to do face and face, they have to do it through that because there's no heat between these guys.
I'll give you this name later, obviously, when we touch on it. There's only one other guy I think is logical to win the Rumble. I'll touch on it.
Okay. And I just want to throw this in about Lesnar. I hate people that bitch that Lesnar is the champion. And I'll tell you why I hate it. Because back in the 80s and 90s, when like the early 90s, not 95 with Man Mountain Rock and Brad Radford. But talking like
hey, Louis Spicoli was a hell of a talent.
He was.
The late Louis
The
Spicoli.
reverse Death Rally driver. I loved his finishing move. But you're talking about back in the day, how many times did Hogan defend the title? What they did, what I like about Lesnar, it's a big fight feel every time he's here. But let me continue. You can respond.
No, I like where you're going.
What I like about Lesnar is every time. Listen, we all know he's been a legitimate fighter, and I like that with the assistance of Paul Heyman, it's a big fight feel every time he gets in the ring. What they don't do enough of now, and we talked about it. How many times do you see Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus and Randy Orton? You see too much of the same things over and over to where you're seeing 3-4 pay-per-views in a row with almost the same main event program. You having him come in, and he's come in a lot more this year because I believe that with his contract extension, they put more dates on his contract. You have a chance to let those main event programs build an anticipation. Mm-hmm. Back in the day when you had Hogan and Savage, or when you had Hogan and Andre, you had 8 months of build up to that, and then they don't do it anymore. And I feel like with Lesnar, not having the title defended on Raw every other week and on a pay-per-view every month, it doesn't devalue it. I feel like Eric Bischoff's the reason why, because he had to one-up Vince. And I like having 12 pay-per-views a year. Well, now we have more. But Bischoff's thing was, what can I do that's more than him? Then it was that plus Clash of the Champions, and it started to water down those programs, those main event programs. When Lesnar has the title, I still feel like there's a build, whether it's 2 months or 3 months, or we know that at some point with Lesnar at Survivor Series last year, whether you loved it or hated it, him and Goldberg, you knew there was going to be a 4 or 5 month build to that, and they continued to go on with it, and it wasn't every week. And I love that it's almost a throwback when Lesnar has the title to what it used to be, and I miss that.
The only thing that I was going to even come close to disagreeing with you on that was when you invoke Hogan. I think the industry back then was different in the sense, though, that even though you never saw a title defense on TV, Hogan was at house shows 4 days a week. So the fan base stayed engaged because they could see title defenses at the Philadelphia Spectrum or Brendan Byrne Arena or Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland.
Right.
And they were able to have a continuity of business with their champion from the house shows as opposed to having him on TV.
No, and I understand that, but you have to think, back then, you only got to see that when you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you don't see it because he's not there, but it's still, you don't see it as much. Now with social media, you would see it, and it would oversaturate it again.
Right.
Well, perfect example, AJ Styles winning the United States Championship on a house show.
I hate when they change hands on house shows.
That was,
although I did like that. I thought that was a surprise.
Yeah, that automatically connected to social media. It was no secret. You couldn't keep it a secret even if you tried.
Actually, yeah. I could even do you one better recently. The social media pop when Samoa Joe won the NXT championship from Finn Balor in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was just because Finn Balor was just like the dominant guy in NXT at the time, and then all of a sudden it was like literally like Twitter just starts blowing up.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, new NXT champion, and everybody's like, what? Yeah. Like at least with AJ Styles it was believable.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock at Samoa Joe.
I love Samoa Joe. I think he's one of the best talents they have on the roster.
I agree
easily.
completely.
He had probably one of the best matches with Brock Lesnar this year, and it was only like how long? It was like maybe 5-10 minutes.
The build-up to that program in the short period of time, to me, is the best main event program build-up that they've had in the last 5 years. Without a question to me. If you go back and watch that, those behind-the-scenes interviews, it was absolutely beautiful. And he was the first guy that you saw that week after week got the advantage over Brock, and and it was believable. And I love that and I hope that at some point Joe gets a run with the title, and I think he will.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't know when.
So we covered Lesnar returning.
Yeah,
we talked about the Women's Royal Rumble match. There's probably a lot more we could get into with that, but
we will. We'll do that on the other side.
In the interest of time, why don't we go Revival and Hideo real quick?
Hideo Itami. I didn't watch. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't watch 205 Live. I've never watched an episode of it. I think it's awful.
Okay.
Do they still change the ring ropes?
No.
Okay, thank God,
they've
because
stopped
that
doing
pissed
that.
me off beyond anything.
Here's the thing, though, and this is my personal opinion on 205 Live. If you keep the cruiserweights on there, you don't have to put them on Raw. You really don't. Here's what you do. You expand the roster.
I liked your idea, by the way.
And you give tag titles to that division. Why? Because it makes it seem like it's a real legitimate separate show. And there's more to fight for. It's not just one championship. Because the whole idea of the Zoe train doesn't make any sense when you think about it logically. You're all competing for one title. No. Have it be a legitimate stable where there are tag titles to go after. And Enzo could cheat for a team. And that way, Enzo's the Cruiserweight champion. You got Cruiserweight Tag Champs as the Zoe Train. There you go. You got a legitimate heel stable for the rest of the Cruiserweight division to fight. It seems like it would solve some of the problems that 205 Live currently has.
I absolutely hate Enzo Amore in the ring, and I really got over his shtick. But now he's finally evolving and doing a little something different. He's putting Drew Gulak over like crazy. And Gulak is so entertaining in the role that he's in.
As much as he wants to go on social media and tell you over and over and over again that he saved 205 Live, he did. He absolutely did. I think. I mean, my opinion,
enough to make me watch it.
Well, and that's fine, but because you're more of a purist, in the sense that
I love cruiserweights, but I don't think that.
But you
the
wanna see-
crop of talent they have.
Yes, that's what I mean.
I don't want to downplay any of these guys, but there's no charisma. There's no character building, which is why I like your idea to give guys something more to fight for when you have everybody. Now, what I do agree with, Enzo has given it more of a storyline that I feel like 205 Live really was lacking, just the division in general.
Well, here's where I can go with that is I can give you 3 reasons why I couldn't stand 205 Live. And it was TJ Perkins, Brian Kendrick, and Noam Dar. And
I
Perkins and
still like Kendrick.
Perkins and Kendrick are kind of like on the fringe now, and Noam Dar is now out injured, which has given a lot of other guys a shot.
Well, I miss Neville, and I think they missed the train on putting the title on Aries.
Agreed.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
2 big things, and that kind of detracted me even more so. But I like the idea of giving them something more to fight for. I feel like it gets very repetitive on the show. I've watched parts of it. Never watched the full episode.
And another thing, too.
I did watch when Aries made his debut on there.
Don't make it after SmackDown. Make it before SmackDown. Because
That's a fair argument.
Yeah,
I think
because
a lot of us feel.
it should be treated like a Velocity or a Sunday Night Heat was. It is before the main show. No offense to the cruiserweights, but that's what they are. They are the precursor to the main event. They are only main event worthy, really, in Japan.
No, and
You
I
know,
think
and
by
that's the
10
honest
o'clock,
truth.
like when you're getting all worked up and you have these major storylines on your main show, people are worn out. They don't want to sit there and watch that. Like, let's be honest. I mean, it's their own network. They can put anything in any time slot they want to. But it is tough to get into the arena that early, though, to expect people to be there that early.
Well, I mean,
and then do you really want to run SmackDown from 9 to 11?
But here's what they could do, and I hear what you're both saying, but there is a middle ground. Is if SmackDown starts at 8, they could actually start the show at 7:15, tape 3 matches for 205 Live, and basically do the production of 205 Live while SmackDown is on, and then press play on the tape at 10 o'clock.
I definitely think you'll have a much livelier crowd into it much more.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, you're also running the risk of less people in the crowd because
Agreed.
people are getting to the arena later.
that's true.
I mean, at this time, a few times I have taken peeks at it, though, crowd's not that full again anyway because people are leaving the arena.
And how do you guys feel about Hideo Itami being promoted specifically to go to 205?
They need a name.
And could we see the same thing with, say, a Roderick Strong?
Yes, and I think that's what they need to do. These guys are established names. They will be guys who the independent fan base can get behind. They fall into, obviously, the weight class and the style, and they all have their own unique styles. You need more names. No, I like Cedric Alexander. I think he's one of the guys that's a little underrated, but you're throwing out TJ Perkins. Take out whatever personal issues with Rich Swann. I thought it was a dumb gimmick. And I don't think he's that great in the ring compared to some of the other guys. So, I mean, you're throwing out Rich Swans and you're throwing out I can't remember half their names now. Because
Cedric Alexander.
I love Cedric
Tony
Alexander.
Nese.
Like Tony Nese.
See, I actually think Tony Nese's gimmick would work better if they announced him as being 225 and put him on Raw. Seriously. I'm being dead serious.
I agree. I agree, but I think that they miss. You definitely miss a Neville. Whether you loved him on the mic or not, I think Neville was an
he was
supreme talent in the ring. I think you miss an Austin Aries.
Oh,
So bringing these guys like a Roderick Strong, I don't know if I want to see them do that with Adam Cole, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put Cole there. But if that's what they do and they give these guys an opportunity to build that brand, I might start watching it.
Here's a question I want to ask you guys.
Go quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, real fast. Aries. Do you think that WWE handled that properly by having him go for his release? Because he did want to do more than just the cruiserweight division. Do you think that they just stupidly just pushed him off to the side and said, you're a cruiserweight. You're not going to be worthy of being a U.S. champion or Intercontinental champion anytime soon? Because in my opinion, that was dumb on their part to allow him.
They missed the boat on him.
Yeah, that was a dumb idea for them to just say, no, we're not even going to put the belt on you at WrestleMania, and we're not considering you for anything more than cruiserweight at this time. I think that was dumb, personally.
I mean, I don't know what was promised to him when he came in, which could be part of the conversation.
True.
I believe, though, if you come into WWE, and there's not any promises, you're put where you need to be.
That is
You're
true.
put where their vision is. And he could have been a guy that could have been a catalyst to build that brand up. And I think he did draw a lot of eyes to 205 Live when there wasn't much to watch. When Neville was running roughshod through the entire division, he was the first guy that people looked at and they're like, oh, man, this is like an actual main event program. That could be featured. People were pissed it was on the pre-show at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
They said this is something that should be on a main card. That was the first time really since the cruiserweight division. It's a long stretch coming from T.J. Perkins versus Brian Kendrick for the title.
Yeah.
And I like Kendrick. I don't like Perkins. I like Kendrick. But
It's the dab.
But I think that there was a significant spot for – I think it's on both sides. I do think there's a vision for him to be more. I don't think he's a world title guy in WWE. But could he have been a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title contender? Absolutely. But I think in the same breath, he missed an opportunity to show that he can be the guy to lead, to build that brand. And then once it's kind of there, you leave things as in a good shape, better than you left, and then you go up.
All right, time for us to take a powder.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to get into SmackDown Live recap, Wrestle Kingdom, our poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Will Daniel Bryan return to in-ring action in WWE at or before WrestleMania?
And we're definitely talking Daniel Bryan.
Yes,
so.
we will. Yes. No. Maybe in the Indies. First segment brought to you by Gibson Mayer, our certified public accountants. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. BMW of Atlantic City, Scanzano Sports, NJ Flag, all of the great sponsors of A2D Radio. Mr. Official, take us out of here.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Tom and Mike, AM and the PM, is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. Go, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, shit the West.
I'll tell you what, one of the nicest guys I've ever freaking met. You know what I'll bring next week? I should have bought it this week. He signed a 2x4 for me.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So tell the story about Tito Santana.
The greatest intercontinental champion of all time.
Oh, Jesus. Here
Aside
we
from
go.
the honky tonk.
You guys are already starting this show with me. Before we get in, real quick, my sister's birthday, Kara Chromiak, is today. I want to wish Kara a very special happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Kara.
Happy birthday.
All right. So, Tito Santana.
Arriba.
So the
Flying burrito.
The
El
initial version of Lazy Booking, the podcast, it was like our 4th or 5th episode in. We did a greatest intercontinental champion of all time tournament. And we'll probably do some cool stuff like that. Just, get feedback from people and see where we're at. But it started where Tito came up and they went on this thing. And then my hatred for Tito Santana apparently came out in the forefront. I didn't even know I hated Tito Santana as much as I do until this show.
It's like therapy.
I absolutely hate Tito Santana. He's a glorified jobber. And people talk about listen, I'm not saying the guy wasn't a great worker, but people talk about him and, he won the Intercontinental title. Well, he won the Intercontinental title when it didn't really have as much of a value. Yeah, there were guys that put it there. But you talk about guys like Pedro Morera, Pat Patterson, and you talk about all the guys that kind of built it up, and then there was a lull until Randy Savage took that title. And Randy Savage is what started to rebuild that title back up. But people talk about Tito like he's some great friggin' wrestler, and he's not. Tito he had no charisma whatsoever. Why are you already giving me a look?
I'm not giving you a look. I'm trying to think. And
Tell me the great feuds that Tito Santana had.
It's not.
You know what Tito Santana did?
I went back further than that. I mean, you brought up Pat Patterson and the infamous Intercontinental Tournament in Rio de Janeiro.
Oh,
but no, I mean I'm trying to think of like you said, when I first like really got into wrestling.
Tito Santana made him fall in love.
No,
with
it wasn't
wrestling.
even that. I mean, this was like we're
Guess
talking
what,
like
Mike? You just made the list of
no.
Chrome.
I mean the biggest feud that I can think of, like right out of the gate, was Pedro Morales and Magnificent Morocco for the Intercontinental Championship.
And it was those were again Hall of Fame names, and the guys that in their era at that time were creative characters, guys who were charismatic in their own way, and built a prestige around that title. And then you put it on schlubs like Tito Santana. Like the guy was a worker, but so were a lot of jobbers, which is why they were jobbers. I mean, but people talk about Tito Santana like he's one of the greats of all time. Show me where. Show me what memorable Tito Santana feud you saw.
His one win at WrestleMania 1, where he beat a masked, who was it?
Yeah, you know what he was?
Which Vince's story is bullshit, where I needed a guy who's reliable to throw out when WrestleMania in its first inception in WrestleMania 1, I wanted a guy who I could trust in to go out there in the first match. Well, you know what? Go back and watch WrestleMania 1 and tell me how easy it is to get through WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
Okay? I could go back and watch a lot of Manias. Them early Manias were tough to get through. Other than I liked 3. But WrestleMania 1 was difficult to get through. And no wonder. It starts off with Tito Santana. I have people that troll me all the time. Joe Martin. So Tito's going to be a part of our show every week. And Joe Martin sent me... Joe Martin's a guy that I know from one of my wrestling groups, and everybody knows how much I hate Tito Santana. So he sent me about 8 autographed Tito Santana pictures, and I don't even know what to do with them. At one point, I had it hanging on my wall because I thought it was only fitting.
You know how much they cost him?
Oh,
$10 total.
How many pesos? Because that's I can't.
That's a Bobby Heenan line right there.
I can't stand Tito Santana. And listen, I've had people troll me about. I had people share a video where he beat the Undertaker on like a Coliseum video home exclusive in Mexico, and guess how he won? The ultimate face Tito Santana won by hitting the Undertaker with the urn. That's a fucking heel move. He's not as pure as people think he is.
So he went heel.
He's a piece of trash.
He went heel.
Come on the show, Tito.
He's a Jersey guy. You might be able to get him.
I'll go back and forth with Tito all day.
So, but Tito does have that historical moment. He's the first ever man to win at a WrestleMania.
Well, you know what he has? He's also the first. I think he gave Shawn Michaels his first win at WrestleMania, if I'm correct.
It all came full.
You may be correct about that.
You know what? His claim to fame is he inspired the amazing gimmick that we saw years later, Los Matadores and El Torito. That's what he has to claim fame to.
Okay,
he sucks.
More El Torito than anything else, but.
All right.
The freaking Los Matadores. Thank you for bringing that back into my life, Heel Chrome. I appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome.
Brodo had spent months in therapy getting that shit out, and you just
I guess
brought it
where I'm
right
going back to.
Okay, so let me just
I'll have to show you my picture with them and Torito from WrestleMania 30.
before we get into the SmackDown recap, if that's how you feel about Tito Santana, let's
Piece of trash.
Okay, well let's flip the coin and
Tito Santana. He's the first name on the list of Chrome.
let's flip the coin and let's look at the heel side of the coin. How do you feel about Greg the Hammer Valentine?
I was actually going to bring that up, too.
I don't love Greg Valentine either. I don't get what people love. To me, he's boring. He's another guy. I didn't see no charisma in him. I think he lived off his father's name. I think he's boring. Another guy. He was in that fold where I don't think there was a lot of charismatic gimmicks. And you didn't have to be, it's not like charismatic as it is today. You saw guys back in the day like Arn Anderson, who revolutionized what it is to cut a promo and be. He wasn't the flashiest performer in the ring. He was a kick your ass with the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, but the dude knew how to talk. And I'm not putting everybody on an Arn Anderson,
right.
But there's guys who could carry a promo and guys who could carry a program and have an interest. I can never remember a moment in my life that I saw a Greg the Hammer Valentine promo or match or a Tito Santana promo or match that I said, man, this is like, I got to tune this in next week. No, I probably was the point where I went and took a shit break Whether it was in my diapers or it was on the toilet, that was when I was done. That's when I took my break from wrestling.
Now, see, it's funny that you say that, and the reason that I'm kind of going down this primrose path here is because when I think back on all of my favorites from my youth, and I look at it now in the eyes of a 2017 wrestling fan going on 2018, you guys, the young boys in the room, so to speak, are lucky because most of my favorites back then absolutely sucked if you look at it through the eyes of a 2017 wrestling fan. Like Tito Santana, horrible. Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, horrible.
I liked Wyndham.
NWA Wyndham, not WWF Wyndham.
Well, yeah, that was rough.
That was well past his
rough.
prime, though.
Right. Jimmy Superfly
Was it
Snuka.
Stalker?
But seriously, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, horrible. One move off the top rope. That was it.
Oh,
But he separated him. What I'll give him is he separated himself because not a lot of guys were doing the high flying then, and that's what people say with Tito. While he was throwing the drop kicks, yeah, okay, whatever. But literally at the same time, you had guys like the Rockers come along.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like he was ahead of his time. There were guys that could do it in his time and do it better. Look at the Intercontinental Champions after him. You had Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man.
Right.
Who, not the greatest worker, but he was an entertaining as hell guy.
Ravishing Rick
Rude. Ultimate Warrior. Mr. Perfect. Where does Tito Santana fall in any of this? Where does the conversation... What conversation in the world is going on right now where people say Tito Santana is right on the same par with these guys?
He's right.
Get the hell out of here.
He's right up there with the Godfather's reign as Intercontinental Champion from 1999.
Godfather had more charisma.
Guess what?
That's kinda
Absolutely.
true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Chrome, get us into SmackDown, brother.
All right. So I need to recover for this for a second.
Take a deep breath.
Tito.
Take a
Say,
deep breath.
Just turn the picture down.
Jesus.
It's all right.
That's all
It's
we
all
need
right.
is to clean
Hey,
up glass.
you get the bad juju out. Now you can go to the
Well,
positive.
Tito's going to be a part of the show.
I don't know.
every
We're
week,
going to
so.
SmackDown, so let's try.
So all right. So we're obviously going to get into Shane and Daniel Bryan. Let's save that. So
Sure, why not?
We kind of touched on it earlier. We talked about Chad Gable. We talked about he was. I mean, I really think he became a star or a star in the making in that tag team, that Fatal 4-Way at Night of Champions. So my question that I go into here. I mean, everybody loved Alpha, American Alpha, with him and Jordan. But now they're separated. And you see what Jordan's becoming on Raw. He's a great worker, but he's not much of a single star as far as, again, charisma. Now, I don't think they did him any favors by making that horrible Kurt Angle gimmick on him.
Well, they also broke up a really hot tag team, which they did habitually in 2017. You know, it's something about WWE and tag teams. They don't mesh for whatever reason. I'm surprised New Day's
Because
still
Teddy
around.
Long's not there.
Yeah.
We're going to make this a six-man tag team match every week on SmackDown. But you
Holla, holla, holla.
holla, 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 player. But you talk. I mean, but you look at it, and I disagree. I think there's definitely been more emphasis on tag teams, and look at and they've also proven you can put guys together that are doing nothing. I love Rusev and Aiden English together. By
All
the
right,
way.
yeah, I'll give you that
Absolutely
one.
love them. Cesaro and Sheamus.
Well, and they're ridiculously over right now.
Oh,
They are.
Rusev Day is amazing. I hated him with Gotch. I thought that gimmick was terrible. It wasn't just like an indie gimmick, which I don't mind indie gimmicks. It was a terrible indie gimmick. It was yeah.
It's like one of those gimmicks you would see in Chikara that would get over.
Well, and that's
but
a
not
very
yet.
niche crowd.
Yeah, not
You just lost 90% of our audience.
no, but it's
Atta
true
boy,
though.
Matty.
But it's true though. Would
They're all looking like what Shikara?
They went
Is
off
that
the
an
show
S or a-
to
is
go
that-
to Google to see what Shikara is.
Is that an
All right.
S or a C? I'm teasing.
I know,
you.
I know.
But look at what he's done now with like another guy, rejuvenated, two guys doing absolutely nothing. You looked at him, he was jobbing out, and now it's one of those things. You throw two guys together and let's see what they got. And I think they've been fantastic. You're seeing the personality of Rusev, the comedy in Rusev.
Oh no, I was literally just waiting for you to ask your Chad Gable question. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know what you're about to bring
So
up.
the Gable question I have, looking at that where that's at, and now you bring in a Shelton Benjamin, and people said when he got hurt said, where if he comes back, where's he going to fit in? I look at it now, and my question is, Chad Gable right now, is he better off with Shelton Benjamin for his career and without Jason Jordan?
I would say for the entire career. I mean, I think right now he's better with Shelton Benjamin.
Eventually, he's going to be a solo guy.
Well, this is why I say he's better with Shelton Benjamin. Because I think to ultimately get him over or give him the best chance, well, Shelton Benjamin needs to turn heel on him. That's what needs to happen, because then those two feud, because it's going to be the little underdog rookie, Chad Gable, as what he's been billed as, to the classy veteran, Shelton Benjamin, the almost role model, because we saw on that SmackDown Live when he found out Shelton Benjamin was going to be his tag team partner, he freaking marked out. He did. To where if Shelton Benjamin turns heel on him, those two feud for a little bit. Then, if it works out, Chad Gable's right in, it would be the Intercontinental Championship. Mm-hmm. And then you would just move their way up. That's how they should do it.
And to piggyback on that, I think if you intended to build Chad Gable as a tag team superstar, you keep him with Jason Jordan.
Yeah.
I actually think the storyline plan, and I actually think Ryan is very much onto something here, is you break up Jordan and Gable. You take Gable and you put him with a quote-unquote better partner to eventually get him over as a single. And the whole Kurt Angle's son storyline for Jason Jordan was basically just whatever they could come up with for the kid, because Gable was actually the one who was getting the push, even though it's disguised as being in a tag team. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget, and maybe for some of the people in our audience that don't even know, Shelton Benjamin to this day still has the greatest singles match in the history of Monday Night Raw.
With Shawn Michaels.
With Shawn Michaels.
It's one of my favorite literally one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time.
Yes.
Was that it? That was in a tournament, wasn't it? To see who would be the
King of the
number
Ring.
one contender.
Yeah.
Was
the
it
King of the Ring
I
qualifier.
King of the Ring qualifier.
And this is one of the main reasons why I'm holding my hat on this possible storyline with Gable and Shelton Benjamin, because in my opinion, they're really holding Shelton Benjamin back. They're almost putting him to the side to showcase Gable. If they honestly saw those two as equals, I think they would put more spotlight on Shelton, given that he has the history with the company. And then he can have the young rookie riding his coattails. They're purposely doing this.
So I have a response, but I want Matt to get his in first.
Okay,
'cause
so
I don't think you're far off. But.
So with the whole idea, we'll to veer off course here for a quick sec. Chad Gable doing his thing with Shelton Benjamin. They take Jason Jordan off of it. Do you think that Jordan, the only way I see him having a shot at actually making something out of his singles career is for him to turn heel on his father?
He's got to turn at some point.
It's going to happen.
He's going to turn heel on Kurt. I absolutely think that's gonna happen.
He's going to get jealous of the fact that Angle's the whole reason why anybody really cares that he exists.
Well, I mean, you're already seeing
they're planting the seeds.
the seeds for the heel turn. Absolutely.
Yeah, and now, so for me, I'm going to twist what you say, because I definitely think Shelton's there to build him up stronger. But I think it's Gable who turns on Shelton Benjamin, who now gets a big head, continues to go on. Because what you've seen, and I thought it was confusing at first, but I actually felt like they touched on it on SmackDown perfectly, is that now they were super face American Alpha. Now you're seeing a much more aggressive, much more kind of almost like a vicious bulldog kind of a mentality out of Chad Gable. Mm. And they even touched on it on SmackDown to where they said, Shelton Benjamin is bringing out a whole different side, an aggressive side of him. And I feel like at some point it's going to be they're going to go up for the tag titles when the big one's up. They're constantly falling short in the big match. It's going to be Gable who's going to be the guy that's going to turn.
Interesting.
Well, Bill Casey chimes in with a great comment. He says, Gable has way more singles potential than Jordan. Gable is likable, charismatic, and incredible in the ring. Those German suplexes at Clash of Champions were amazing. Jordan is a good worker. That's about it.
Okay, that's fair.
I think I would be interested, though, with Jordan. I'm not writing Jordan off. I want to see a heel run from him. I don't think – it's almost like – because he's a really good worker. He has great matches. It's almost like when Rock first came – and I'm not putting him on that level per se, but in comparison of you have that super, like, clean-cut babyface gimmick that's almost like jammed down your throat. I want to see what he can do as a heel.
I have an idea on this because also on the SmackDown criteria here it is what's next for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now think about this for a quick second. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And then, as babyfaces, Benjamin and Gable beat Owens and Zayn and get a big, pop. And then, as time goes along, that's when you start to see either Gable or Benjamin start to sway heel. And then that's when that big blow-up happens, and then they lose the tag team titles. I think that would be the smart way to go about it, because that would at least give Owens and Zayn something to do now that they've survived, quote-unquote, their career-ending match.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, too, because where you're going with Chad Gable having to be the one that turns heel, I have Sami Zayn being the one that turns heel
on Kevin Owens. I agree. I think Sami Zayn definitely fell into an oblivion, and I don't think it's necessarily even the booking with WWE. I just think these kind of super, happy-go-lucky baby faces just don't work. You have to have an edge, and I think working with Kevin Owens has brought that out of him. And it's been an interesting dynamic. And even when he just comes out and does the ska to Owens music, it's so heel. I love it.
It is. It's absolutely heel.
And every little underlying thing that Kevin Owens does as a heel is so good. It's just the little things, the little nuances. But I do believe at some point he's a guy that can continue to do those things as a face. I think Zayn is the guy. They're going to have to start going at each other. I think Zayn's the guy that's going to have to stay the heel. Owens is coming up to that point where he's about to hit the wall, and you have to change him up a little bit.
Well, to all of your points, especially yours, Maddie, when they do finally break up, for the sake of Sami Zayn, he has to be the one that turns on Owens. Because if it's the other way around, that will bury Sami Zayn again.
Yeah, because the 27th time they've done it.
Exactly. Because Kevin Owens has always been looked at as the big bully, especially to Sami Zayn. It needs to be the other way around for the sake of his character.
Hey, real quick, Maddie, before you jump on that
Sure.
for Chrome, your boy Scotty, what's with all the rumors of Vince selling WWE? If he does, will we finally get better storytelling and not just flips and kicks, or is old school storytelling dead?
Vince will never sell WWE. That's the easy response.
Well, you know where this started, though. This was Meltzer last week floating out there that if there was ever a time for them to sell WWE,
it would be now.
It was now,
but
right?
But that's never going to happen. You already have the incumbent in place in Hunter and Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Hunter has proven how, as a leader, and whether you love him or not, people hated the fact that he threw himself in at Survivor Series or whatever. I still think he's a big name. He's a big deal.
Separate the on-screen character from the off-screen executive.
He has proven that he has a vision for these guys. Mm-hmm. He knows how to incorporate their uniqueness from the independent promotions into the WWE style. And I mean, look at how successful NXT is. And that's only going to go to a higher scale whenever Vince finally decides it's time to step aside. I think he's going to die in the chair.
So do I.
But whenever that does happen, there's nothing to be concerned about. There is a very bright future ahead for WWE, and you just kind of got to hang your hat on that.
And Maddie, from David Rosca.
Sure.
Is Trish Stratus coming back at the Rumble? And then, I'm sorry. Trish Stratus, and is Batista coming back at the Rumble?
Oh, God, is he going to – please don't tell me he'd win it again.
All right, let me play devil's advocate.
I was in the crowd for that one.
If you had to lay money on either or, who's the more likely choice to come back?
The more likely choice, I'm going to say, is Trish Stratus. In my opinion, because I think Batista, he's really doing well in the movie industry. He's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think if Trish comes back, it's a one-shot deal, but we could see it.
I could see that more believable than Batista, because I think Batista, he's been doing busy on films and stuff like that. I just think he probably wouldn't have the time to even fit it into his schedule.
On
really.
your point of Trish Stratus only doing like a one-off, the only way she does more than that, I could see them using her as kind of the backup plan if they don't decide to go forward with this four horsemen or horsewomen angle, to where they'll do something with Trish Stratus. She'll be the big star instead of Rousey and her people.
I don't think there's a doubt in my mind. I mean, they're showing all these women who are tweeting about it, and I think that she's a person that they've talked about before. I mean, she's had her children, and I think she's in pretty decent shape at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to make an appearance. And I think she's deserving of it. She's one of the greatest women's champions of all time. I wouldn't be surprised if Lita makes an
I was
appearance.
just going to ask you, does Lita dust off the trunks? Or
I'm going to say no to Batista for the simple reason of, from everything that I've read, heard Meltzer and other guys talk about, Batista doesn't believe in coming in and doing a one-off. Like, anytime he comes back, even if it's for 3 months or 4 months or 2, he wants to have a meaningful program. And with the Guardian stuff, they were talking about possibly putting him into the Hall of Fame this year. But if you look at and I don't want to drop any teasers in case anybody doesn't want to know, they've leaked what seems to be a very likely Hall of Fame class. He is not included in that. And if that's the case, I think he'll wait until then. He's got a lot going on with movies right now. So
I'll play devil's advocate with you on this one. You can call me fantasy booker on this one. Say he does come back. I'll give you a scenario where he could
just
come
don't be
back.
a lazy booker.
I won't be. I'll try not to be on this one. Let me know if I am. So let's just say that at WrestleMania, it's Triple H versus Kurt Angle. Okay?
I think there's a good chance.
There's a
of
real,
that.
I was going to say, it's a really good chance you're going to get that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So say, for example, Batista ends up coming back. They don't want to do it at the Rumble because we've seen, 3 years ago, how that pretty much ruined the Rumble. Especially, it was in Philadelphia, correct? To where Philadelphia, we know this.
I was at the 2 worst Rumbles as far as, best Rumble crowds.
Best Rumble crowds.
I was at both,
Worst
in Pittsburgh
Rumble
and in Philly
results.
back-to-back years. When you see Rey Mysterio get booed out of the building, it's over.
Yeah.
You know there's no turning back then.
Oh, man, that was crazy when especially the one time in Philly when Daniel Bryan got eliminated. Oh, my God, it's like the sky was falling when that happened.
It was awful.
So Triple H versus Angle at WrestleMania. Angle's winning. Then you hear Batista's music. He interferes next night on Raw. That's a feud. Maybe they tease for SummerSlam whenever.
I don't say it.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Batista's got too big.
Who's he feuding with, Angle or Triple H? Because the
Angle.
door is open to go either way.
No, he's feuding with Angle because he's Triple H's boy.
Nah, I don't say
in the day.
it. For me,
Oh, I know it's a long shot. Trust me.
I love Batista, but Batista, as he knows, he's a name.
Yeah.
Batista's, if it's not a Mania program, I don't see him coming back.
Real quick, guys, we got about.
I did want to throw this
Go ahead.
out too, real quick. Anthony D'Andrea puts, "This is the most I've seen. I've enjoyed watching Sammy during this run."
Nice.
And he
Good
said,
call.
"You think the Women's Rumble is set up for Asuka to dominate?" Real quick, we did touch on that earlier. I think Asuka's probably going to win this. I think we're going to probably get Asuka winning, and we're probably going to get Rousey and Charlotte in some other fashion.
All right, let's go real quick. Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon saga, and then
So
I'll get your predictions on Wrestle Kingdom, and we'll get out of here.
yeah, I mean, listen, I've been talking about it for a while on some other shows that I was on, kind of building us up for this. To me, the writing's been on the wall. I thought it was really difficult to bring Daniel Bryan back. When you start throwing CTE around, you're talking about a business deal now because, I mean, a lot of stuff's come out to where he could have been somewhat misdiagnosed. But let's not forget that CTE is something that really can't be diagnosed until you're dead. Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I would have to hear more about the doctor's reports, but it just seems the way it's leaning. And I always look at little nuances of things. He's a little less clean cut. He's growing his hair back, which a lot of guys do because it's a lot better for them with the wet hair in the ring and all that different stuff. I just look at that and the way that they've positioned everything. I've been thinking for a while now maybe there's some traction to this. And apparently I didn't read any of it, but my buddy sent me something the other day that Brian's been on different platforms and saying that he's definitely coming back. So to me, there's no doubt. And even before I heard that he was coming back, not just with the program that you're seeing, but just those little nuances. Like I said, he's growing his hair back. They're obviously distancing him in regards to,
the Bellas.
Well, not even that, but just they're distancing him as far as that authority role and where he's calling for him to be fired and not Zayn and Owens. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see that. But again, how do you position it? Because I thought the booking was really
let's
weird
go
on
to
Sunday.
your Twitter poll question for a second then. Does he come back in WWE or does he come back on the Indies?
It's not worth going back in the Indies. I don't mean that in a bad way. He's a WWE guy at this point. His wife is so tied to WWE, and there's a very good possibility that the Bellas might be back.
All right. Ryan.
I think he absolutely comes back in WWE.
Maddie.
Oh yeah, I think he's coming back.
See, I'm going to be the contrarian of the group here. I do think he wrestles again. I don't think it's in a WWE ring unless it's a one-off with Shane at WrestleMania, which would then be his swan song, because I think there's been so much, like you were talking about, the CTE talk. I just don't know that Vince wants to take that risk.
But if there's enough from the doctors that shows that there could have been a misdiagnosis.
I'm with you. Believe me, I am fully on board with everything that you guys have said.
Yeah.
I just, from a pure business standpoint, that's just where I see it going.
I'll leave it at this. I agree. I think it's a business killer. But if Vince, after all this, if WWE puts him in the ring, I have to believe that they have enough hard evidence that there was a misdiagnosis and he is perfectly capable of stepping into the ring.
Well, I'm going to say it's Wrestle Kingdom 13, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega.
You might get it, but he'll be in WWE first.
Now, hold on. Do you think that maybe, and this is more of a conspiracy theory, do you think that they knew he wasn't as bad as he was when he retired, quote unquote, or do you think? Okay, I was just throwing that out there because, like, you know how WWE sometimes they create these long ass storylines that sometimes.
Right. Real quick, guys, 5 minutes left. Todd Womack says, "What's good, guys?" So we had Todd chiming in.
What's up, Todd?
My man, Todd.
Todd says, Asuka wins the Royal Rumble, faces Nia Jax. So I'm assuming he's probably looking at the same finish I am, where they're the last two in the Rumble.
Could be, yep.
And then he says, hey, Shawn Michaels came back. Anybody can come back.
Absolutely.
All right, so real quick, gentlemen, let me get your predictions. Top 3 matches for Wrestle Kingdom 12.
All right.
First one we'll go with is the Fatal 4-Way for the IWGP. And for those not in the know, that is International Wrestling Grand Prix, Intercontinental title. You have the champion, the Bullet Club representative, Marty Scurll, versus Kushida, versus
I had to do it.
versus Takahashi, versus Will Ospreay.
Well, this title
Don't you ever flap in my face again.
well, this
I will go full Howard Finkel on you.
Well, this title is
You've been disqualified. Go ahead, Crow.
No, I it's funny. This title has flip-flopped quite a bit as of late, hasn't it? I think Takahashi had the title, dropped it to Ospreay. Finally, after Ospreay, how many times did he go against Takahashi and couldn't get over the hump? Then immediately he drops the title to Scurll. And, Kushida, the whole build-up with Kushida trying to get in the ring, and every time he tries to talk, something happens, he gets the shit kicked out. So he comes in with the helmet on his head. Oh, I just love the build-up to this. I'm starting to become more of a New Japan fan, and I'm starting to DVR it and watch it. And the presentation is so good.
It is.
And, for me, I think Marty Scurll comes out of this, the villain. He's awesome.
He is.
And I think that, I don't see the title flip-flopping yet again.
You've got Scurll to retain.
Okay, now this is going to sound weird coming from the guy who's wearing the Bullet Club hat right now, or the beanie.
Doesn't matter. Use your logic, brother.
Going with Ospreay.
No, I'm going with Kushida. Because he keeps getting beat down, you built him up to get that big payoff.
And it could be.
I'm actually with Maddie. I'm going Kushida. Ryan, you have a prediction on that, or are we just?
I'll go Marty Scurll.
You're going Scurll? Okay.
Thanks.
Good.
My man.
I'm actually going to jump ahead here. I want to go to Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Gentlemen, predictions on this one. Maddie, I'll start with you on this one.
Naito.
I agree. I think Naito is going to win it, too. Okada's been so dominant, though. He's such a good champion, but I think it's time to...
They've built Naito up really well, though.
They have, and I feel like it's now a position where you have a very viable foe to shift on the biggest stage for them.
See, I'm going Okada to retain.
And it wouldn't surprise me.
I just think
they love Okada in New Japan.
To me, they're turning the Rainmaker into a modern-day version of a young Undertaker. At least that's my opinion. They're making him almost indestructible.
Yeah.
So, Ryan.
I'll agree with you, Mike.
Okay.
I'll keep it simple.
I like it. So the reason that I skipped all that is because the one that everyone stateside is talking about, Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho with the absolute epic build-up.
It's been fantastic.
The old school video where let's say those who are Fozzy fans would have recognized the music in the background of the video, but if you're not a Fozzy fan and you don't understand what's going on until Jericho pops on that screen. You have the epic build-up. You have the Twitter wars.
It was
The
going down
speculation-
Twitter even beforehand.
Right. Well, the speculation that it was all being built up for the cruise, and then
Thank God it was.
Jericho shows up and attacks him. Kenny Omega returns the favor the next day at a press conference.
Oh, and that was beautifully done.
Omega gets color. Omega gets color in the ring. Jericho comes up from the attack with a huge bruise on his head and goes on an old school Ric Flair style rant in the press conference. This may be the most entertaining storyline in professional wrestling in the last 10 years, and the majority of it's happening on a different continent.
Yeah,
Which is frustrating as hell as a WWE fan, but with the internet and TV and everything, I'm loving it.
No, I agree, and I mean it's Chris Jericho. Yeah, Chris Jericho showing what he can do. Chris Jericho, and this is a dream match for people. Omega, with super talented guy, and this is a match that people thought they would never see, and not only not see, you never thought you'd see Chris Jericho back in New Japan, and he's finally gotten there. So,
Okay. So prediction on the match?
I think it's Omega. I don't think this is going to be the last time they face each other, though. It may not be in New Japan.
Would you like to elaborate?
It could be. There could be another. It could be on the ship.
Could be on a boat.
It could be on a boat. It could be at some point down the road in WWE. I don't think this will be the last time, but it's going to be epic.
Maddie.
I'm going to go with Mr. Kenny Omega of the Bullet Club. Have to go with him.
Ryan.
It has to be Kenny Omega. It has to be.
Y'all just made the list.
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm going with Jericho. I have
So
to.
predictable.
And I think the reason for
That's
it,
lazy
though-
booking right there.
No, it's but it's not. And then the reason that I'm doing it is because, and we talked about this a little earlier, the big hint that he dropped when he said that it will be the last time you ever see Kenny Omega in Japan. Now, do I believe that to be true? No, absolutely not. But can you imagine the absolute shock and awe in the Tokyo Dome if Jericho wins the match and Omega has to walk out of there?
To your point, look how AJ Styles left there. When he was beaten down, he
They
was
all go
betrayed.
down on their back.
The shock and awe, it's happened.
Best way to go out is on your back. That's how you know you did the right
Give
thing.
him the final bow.
So maybe to your point, if it is going to happen again, whether it's in WWE or on the boat or something like that, maybe Vince has actually recognized that New Japan is onto something here.
Yeah.
And maybe I understand that Kenny Omega has said he will not go to WWE unless he has full control over the storyline. But what if, let's just say maybe Jericho and Vince got Kenny on the phone and said, let's continue this stateside on a short-term deal. You come in, we'll take this through WrestleMania. You get your win back at WrestleMania, and you go off to Japan.
I mean, maybe. I don't know that Vince is going to put some guy over just to go somewhere else, though. But just to wrap that whole thing up,
Talk about the no DQ element real quick, too.
I don't like the no DQ element because I feel like it can take away from this match. I don't feel like it's necessary.
Agreed.
And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I don't feel like this is going to be the last time that they go against each other. But what I do think, I think that if Jericho goes over in this match 100%, you're probably going to see something in WWE. But I don't see Vince. And now, real quick to your point, too, you talk about Vince looked at New Japan and said, hey, they're onto something. Vince saw that last year when he saw AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. He's just paying more attention, and now he's seeing more talent do that.
Now, one thing I do want to say, though, is it a bad idea for him to do what Mike says? And think about it. You can start almost a relationship with NJPW, and a good one that maybe there's a way that you can get some NJPW talent without having to do the whole we have to rip them away from NJPW. You can actually do kind of that talent swap there for a quick step where you do one-offs.
The only way you could do that is if, they're working with Ring of Honor.
Well, I was going to say, but you've heard, though, that WWE is trying to build a relationship with Ring of Honor.
And they have. They've used their highlights and everything else.
Right, they have the relationship with Evolve. They have the relationship with ICW. Maybe this is just the next step. Who knows? But, guys, listen, great show. Chrome, congratulations on bringing lazy booking to A2D. You guys crush this. Mr. Referee, can we get a decision?
1, 2, 3, the winner, and still,
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout, Michael Cormier.
Heel Chrome, baby.
Thank everybody for joining us. Everyone, our loyal A2D audience, our new viewers and listeners, for Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant, Scanzano Sports, BMW of Atlantic City, NJ Flag, Soap Stash, Romeo's Termite and Pest Control, Giuseppe's, everybody that's ever sponsored us. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Love you guys.
Merry
Appreciate
Christmas.
it. We're out.
Check us out next week.